presented with an opportunity that is actually very well able to give us, each of us, the life we always want. Everyone has a different lifestyle, would like a different fathom of life. But then when life done right, when things done right, we are able to get the kind of lifestyle we all want. And it doesn't have to be the same, but the fact is we are able to get the lifestyle we each want if we are to tap into these kind of opportunities that we present here. So the biggest piece here is we get to see where are we and where we want to be. And this is actually, we are starting on a 30,000 feet high level on a picture. You get to see where am I currently, my financial position today, and where do I want to go? And quite honestly, most people may want to have more time with, more time doing what they want, or money, or freedom. It could be security, or, being around your family, a lifestyle, giving anything. It could be just, creating a legacy that people take on when you're no longer here. But in any case, we get to see, we get to make a plan, basically to do an inventory of our lifestyle and see, I am here today and I have a goal, I have a desire, I have a plan of where I want to go. Even if you don't have a plan, we are excited to present a plan tonight and say, this is the pathway, this is the way that can take you there. And we don't really mean to define where exactly you are going, but where is really the destiny. It should be the life you always wanted. What gives you that kind of freedom? And that's what we're discussing tonight. And quite honestly, if you look at life in a very, very honest way, it's not always easy to, just jump and make a paradigm shift of where you were and jump all the way to where you want to be. It's not, it's a process. Sometimes it takes a lifetime. People get there, others don't. And we are presenting an opportunity tonight where we get to see a way out. Before we even talk into these ideas of uh, money, time, freedom, what do we get? The challenge becomes, there's a problem, there's a challenge of life. There's a financial system that is challenging, a financial system made of debts, fees, inflation, costs. So, costs of living, payments here and there, especially for those of you that are in North America. And I believe pretty much 90 or 100% of the people here have life on this side of the world. In the developed economies, we have this challenge of a financial system that is not in our in our favor. And it takes one to sit and do an inventory, a plan, a strategy of where are you and where are you going to be in 10, 20, 30 years down the road. But these are common challenges. These are common problems. The debts, the fees, the inflation, the standard of living, the increasing prices, the money issues. And we are presenting a, a way out. If you can see on my path here, on this, the solution basically that we're going to present, it's a way out. So instead of cutting through this problem, sometimes it could even be more or less of a wall that you can't even break through. Then we are presenting an alternative, a way out of this dilemma. And this is the solution we're going to be discussing about tonight to get to this destiny. And if you can see through these white digits there, or letters, if I may call, they're people, images. And those images actually portray the message that I'm trying to say here. If you look at this person in here, and you look at this person in there, that's where one wants to be. That's where we all want to be free and have those dreams that we want to be taking on when we are in late ages, or even in early ages, for those of you that are still young and able to tap into this. So I want to talk to you tonight about the 45-year plan. And this is actually a model that I'm drawing from the book of the Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. For those of you that know Rich Dad Poor Dad guy, that's the guy that wrote this book after Rich Dad Poor Dad. The book is called Cash Flow Quadrant. But in the book there, I'm picking those ideas and coupling them along with the message we're trying to communicate tonight. We all have, any person has about roughly 40 to 50 years of working in meaningful jobs or meaningful professions or uh, ventures. We have about 45 years. If you take that number comes from the starting, the adult age to the retirement age. So retirement is usually around 60, 70, 65, 70. If you take that minus the age of serious work, which is around 18, 20, then you have about roughly 45 years. So what plan do we take on? And in the cash flow quadrant, Robert explains the fact that there are four quadrants in life, especially in this developed world, where you have to position yourself and get a specific, clear, certain result. So we're looking at the first half of the quadrant, the left side of the quadrant. You can see employee and you can see self-employed. And in that book, Robert explains that on this side of the quadrant, be it employee or self-employed, sometimes these self-employed guys, they pose and position as if they are better than employees. But the guy explains that they are actually the same, exactly the same in terms of the formula they use. They both trade time for money. And that's going to be a challenge, and it's going to catch up with them, especially as we age, as you can tell. The employees, of course, have to clock in at their job places or whatever, and then they have to uh, do this work. And even if they clock in and can do the work, sometimes it becomes hard and has to leave. But the self-employed may think they're, bosses on their own, yes, but then if they don't put in the time factor, it becomes a challenge for them to get any income. So there's no leverage on this side. As you can see, both of these guys have no leverage. It's time equals their money. If the time is limited, their income becomes limited. There's no leverage on this side. And that's what Robert explains. And that's where most actually will see a bigger percentage of people find themselves on this side of the quadrant. And we're going to see shortly what's on the other side of the quadrant. But the dangers of being on this side, look at this graph. If you can see the next graph here. We have two variables on this graph. And Robert explained that actually 95, this is not even Robert, this is the US Bureau of Labor Statistics now. They came up with this graph and explained that 95% of the people leave this curve in their 45-year path. This is the curve they leave. Down here on the x-axis or y-axis, I don't remember. I don't even remember which one is y and x. Okay, the horizontal line here is age, and the vertical line here is income, is money that we earn over time. Now, this curve as it goes up, it may even go up at some point, or maybe over 100, 200, 3,000, or maybe 20, depending on whichever line you go. Robert explains, and the US Bureau of Labor Statistics explains, that you start earning positively over time, and at some point in your late 30s, early 40s, mid 30s, your income becomes flat. That's where now responsibilities start increasing, let alone even the challenges of life, of health. As you become more stable, as you become more grounded in family, if you're a lady or a young lady starts, have 2, 3 kids, now it becomes so harder. No more time to put in. You have to split your time for other, more demanding tasks. And that's how your income starts flattening out. And once you hit retirement age, around 65, around 70, if you're, a diehard, then your income goes down by half. And interestingly, let's talk a little bit deeper on this side here. Around this age, this is where now more need for money kicks in. Your body starts to become, more susceptible to disease. You need more attention. You need more access to cash to run your life. In these early ages, you're strong. You're strong and no demands that much. But just when money is needed more, that's when then it cuts down. And this is the dilemma. U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics explains that 95% of the people are on this left side of the curve. And that's the dilemma, that's the challenge that we're trying to tackle on here and see how do we address this problem. Because as you know, some people, their income curve may even keep going up until they retire, up until they die, up until even when they are long gone out of life. Their income keeps going up and up and up. And there's a different formula for that, as we're going to be discussing tonight here. So this is really calling for a new solution, a way out of this trap, a trap of trading time for money. Because these two variables, we both need them. And on this side, on the left side here, the equation means it says you cannot get both of these. You have to give one to get the other. So why, if I'm going to be free, I need to have, yes, both time to do what I want to do or go where I want to go. And then I need to have money. But if you tell me that I can't get both of these, then I don't know what there is in life at some point ahead. Because I'm not always going to be able to have this, to put in this much time to get the money that I'm getting if I'm young. So this is a call for action to figure out if you're going to need both of these, how do you do that? And the good news is that tonight we're going to be discussing this problem, this solution to this problem. Now, going straight forward, let's look at the financial matrix a little bit. Now, the matrix that I'm talking about, or the challenge that is preventing us from, remember where we started, we said there's a calculus of where we are and where we want to be. Now, you look at this financial matrix here. This is, by the way, a very great book. If for those of you that can get your hands on this book, Insidious by Orrin Woodward, it explains clearly how the financial matrix, so the financial system in these advanced economies, actually all over anywhere in the world, is tilted against a consumer, a member, a community member, an individual. How the financial system is against you. And quite honestly, you can look at this graph here. The financial matrix is peaking, is fetching from almost everyone, households, individuals, governments, businesses. If you look at this, the way this curve goes, individuals here in their households, they pay taxes to government. And then they pay high prices to businesses by, if you go to Walmart or, in a taxi, in Uber, these are businesses you have to pay. And the inflation keeps raising those costs. And then they pay these debts in the financial matrix. You get a credit card, you pay your groceries. The credit card is, charging you, the business is charging you, the government is charging you. This poor guy here, the households, they're charged from all corners. But look at the governments either. They pay debts. They owe the financial matrix. The businesses pay taxes. Yes, they may pay these taxes to government and pay some debts to, the big companies. But then the poor guy has 3 or more angles that are being charged. If you can look at the inflation they pay, or the high prices, the inflation that keeps factoring in, or the debts on their credit cards and mortgages and, auto loans and all those crazy things, and the taxes to governments, for those of you that own houses, you know what I'm talking about. That becomes even more crazier. Here we say, since 1971, the total American debt has increased from 2 trillion to over 93 trillion. Now, this trillion increase, it's a debt, and this debt is paid by an average person like you and me, which takes away from our dreams. The American dream is long gone. As everyone has always wanted to have this American dream, but you keep chasing it and chasing it until you're gray and you're red and you're blue and you're gone. Now, we have to sit back and say, wait a minute, we can't keep in this kind of lifestyle. We got to have an alternative. We got to find a way. And luckily, those pathways have been charted out already. And that's what we're presenting tonight here. But really quick, my last piece here, I want to show you the right side of the matrix that we were talking about. Your way out. Remember, we were trapped. 95% of the people are trapped on this left side that we discussed about, from the idea of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant. But look at the 5%. The 5% are on the right side of the quadrant. They own either a business or they're investors. So you want, or we all want to be on the right side of the quadrant. That's where we are not necessarily trading time for money. That's where you can get both of those variables. You can get money, you can get time. That's where we leverage systems, we leverage investing strategies, we leverage people, we leverage entrepreneurship. As a matter of fact, if you add these two, business and investment, that's pure entrepreneurship in its finest form. And on this side, we happen to develop leaders and leverage systems. And now, if a system can be activated to work for you, then you can go where you want to go, and you can expect that money to come in when you're sleeping or when you're gone. That's where you can leave a legacy. That's when you can now realize your dream. And the challenge is, how do we get out of the 95 percenters to the 5 percenters of the people to live the life we've always wanted? And as I mentioned early on, the life we always want is not necessarily the same, but this strategy is able to give us both of these two variables. And once you have the money and the time, then you can pretty much realize all other dreams. The dream of being with your family, the dream of creating a legacy, the dream of giving, the dream of, being your own boss, if I can mention that. Now, the dream of developing other people, that's where you're able to leverage the systems and create time and money with a flexible lifestyle that you can always get. Now, let's see how exactly do we jump on this. And quite honestly, there are many ways. These solutions can be presented in medical, in entrepreneurship, in IT, in direct sales. But for tonight here, we're presenting a different path in the financial services. And that's what I'm excited to introduce you guys here and say, look at what we have tonight here. Now, if you can see, if you are seeing my screen again, I'm sharing you a different portion of the screen. Look at this piece here. Let me go ahead and expand it. Continue to share. Now, if you're looking at these two people, one is on the left side of the matrix or the quadrant, and the other one is practically on the right side, if you can mention. And these two people are all at their current lifestyles. One is a worker, has a job, and the other one is an entrepreneur. And the question becomes, would we like to change our lives tonight? The employee has to rent their life. They have a restricted income and a restricted lifestyle because they have to be at the job when they want or not. Their dreams can't be realized. They have to achieve the dreams of their bosses. And quite honestly, life ends up becoming frustration, if I may say. Now, On the other side, the entrepreneur own their lives. They have no caps on their earning, and they are well able to achieve their own personal dreams and get into business for themselves. And that's where we say, now I want to be an entrepreneur if I can realize all these. Because quite honestly, no one would want to say, I want to achieve the dreams of my boss. You may do that because you get what you get, but not quite honestly what you would want to do if you had dreams of your own. And if you look at what is going on today in America, the cost of living is incredibly increasing. We have such things like inflation and layoffs at jobs and increasing housing costs, and food, gas prices are always on the high. Retirement becomes a problem. Now, let's look at the numbers here. If for those of you that are still living on paycheck to paycheck, and quite honestly, about more than even 90%, if I may call it, still living in this kind of lifestyle. But if you look back in 1990, here in this side of 2022, 2023, 3 years ago when these numbers were put together, the cost of education to graduate college was around 30,000. Today, it's around 152,000. Actually, more than that. That's about 5 times, more than 5 times increase. The cost of a house back in 1990s at 100,000, you'll get a pretty decent mansion. Today, you would, consider somewhere around 500,000. Gas back in the days it was $1, now is almost 5 times more than that. The cost of a car was 9 to 10,000. Today, a pretty decent brand new car, or even a used one, would be somewhere around 40 to 50,000. Now, look at this last variable. The income piece is the most interesting piece. Back in 1990, the average median income salary or earning was 52,000. Over 30 years down the road, we're still at not even double. It's not even 1.5 times more. He has just increased by just a couple thousand, from 52 to 59 to 79. And today, to be honest with you, if you're earning around 80,000 here, you'd be considered to be still okay, which is so unheard of, so worse, given where we're headed, given all these variables here. If you look at the perpetual increase on each of these, this is nowhere matching. So the idea here is that the level or the gross of earning, the earning potential and growth on the left side of the curve for those that are earning a salary, a wage, minimum wage or median income, whatever, is nowhere close to the growth or increase in the prices of our standard of living. You need a car to do what you do. You need gas to move around. You need a roof on your top, on your head. You need an education to force yourself through lifestyle. But look at, they've increased 5, 10, 4, 5, 3 times. This one has not even, the income has not even increased by 2 at least to the very basic. And that makes it even more worse. Now, when people get challenged by those kind of issues of costs and increasing standards of living, of inflation, high prices and cost of living not matching up, what do people do? They get a second job. And look at the second job now. The second job comes with a restricted income as well. No control. You can't even now, you start losing control of your life a lot. You get overworked, you get micromanaged, you get, no equity in your job. And besides, you can't even guarantee how long you're going to have that job at all. You may be laid off all of a sudden. And as you get more, jobs and those add on those incomes, taxes keeps creeping in. The alternative now becomes building your own business. That's what we're talking about tonight here. Building your own businesses. We're providing an opportunity where one can own their own business and be mentored to get paid what they are worth, to control their future, to make their own schedule, to work from anywhere they are, to balance their work and life and enjoy the tax advantages. As a matter of fact, for those of you that already know, the US, the advanced economies, they incentivize businesses than individuals. They incentivize on taxes entrepreneurs than employees. And that becomes the math now one has to hook on. We got to anchor ourselves on these businesses and these tax incentives, on these freedoms, and find our way out. And that's what we're presenting tonight. We're giving up an opportunity, we're inviting people to come and join us into this crusade where we are mentoring people for their own businesses and are able to get out of this trap and get on this free side all for free. No cost of this mentorship. You just get the basics. You pay the simple platform and get this continuous group of people that are around you to support you. And now you can feel the idea. At that point, you get to feel the sense of being in business for yourself and not by yourself, with people around you that will carry you through. Now, we're providing a financial services career. We actually call folks that we're inviting here the financial doctors, just like we have the law doctors to be lawyers and policemen and judge and lawmakers. In the financial services career, we're looking for law doctors, or rather financial doctors. If you look at this career itself, the assessment back in 1980, there were around 500 financial doctors. Back then, they were called reps. And they were serving around 227 million people in the US alone here. In 2022, fewer reps, they went down. If you look at that move from 498 to 424, fewer doctors, fewer reps, but more people to serve. Today, we are looking around close to 400 million in the US. So we have fewer reps, more people. That says what? It presents an incredible opportunity for growth and success. Not just on your own, but also success to helping people. And this reminds me of one guy that once said, the point is not being successful. The fear should not be being really successful or failing at life. But the actual fear should be succeeding at what matters less, at something that doesn't even matter. And there's no better matter than helping people. At the same time, realizing your dreams. So who needs to get on this board and get to understand and help people to understand the dynamics of how this money works? We've heard of this, career of life insurance and people trying to get on this whole board here and there. But the idea is we provide a kind of life insurance you don't have to die to use, helping people to see through their smart money alternatives, as opposed to traditional ones of 401ks or guaranteed incomes. The idea of protecting incomes and being able to build your business and be your own boss, but at the same time, come along with masses and make a real impact in people's lives. The financial landscape in America it's been really interesting and more scarier as we go. The problem, this is where actually the problem lies. If you look at where things started out, we were talking about, the trillions of debts back in the days. and it keeps growing by minute. If you look at the numbers today, the debt grows by 3 million, over 3 million, close to 4 million every minute in the US. This huge debt creates a pressure to raise taxes on, and these taxes are going to be paid by people, individuals, an average person, me or you. And then we come to inflation and uncertainties in the, mid-American all-time high. If you look at the people that are now getting out, evicted in their houses or losing their careers. Look at Social Security and Medicare and the turmoil of finances that is going on today. Now, the average family in the US is said to be saving somewhere around $4,000 every month. Average. 4,000. If you have 4,000, just, put aside, that's in their savings, not just every month, over time. This is just a penny on life. It creates a huge, huge retirement crisis when one is going to retire at some point. If anything, actually, if you would ask, a 40, 50-year-old to cough out $4,000, $5,000 from their savings account, very few would be able to do that. And they're headed to retirement in less than 10, 15 years. And you wonder what's going to happen there. Very lastly, let's talk of the millions of families that cannot even come up with $400 to handle an emergency, or $500 to handle something that may happen out of the blue. Now, that's where we bring in the solution, a new kind of life insurance with living benefits and retirement benefits. I know there's been a lot of talk out there, insurance, financial, whatever, but then the fact remains, are we really understanding what we're talking about? And how much more people are we helping out there? Or am I covered even myself before I even talk about it? So the dynamics are live a long time, which is a blessing that every man wants. Then you have a tax-free money. Get sick along the way or can't even go to work. Then you have living benefits that covers any such incidentals of cost from critical, chronic, or terminal illnesses. And in case of death, which is the traditional idea of life insurance that people talk about, then you come with living benefits. But you may not die. And we don't want even to be pessimistic and be fearful of this death, because we're going to die anyway. But if you live too long, what if you outlive the money that you have saved? Do you really want to be a burden to your loved ones? Or does your loved one want to be a burden on the people around them? And this becomes a challenge that we get to address in our careers and make a meaningful impact to people's lives, but at the same time, realizing our dreams as well. Now, the power of no additional cost of living benefits. We have an example of someone that practically lived through this. Maybe for the sake of time, I will just read through this for now. This is the last piece that I want to show you guys here. People have talked to, even just a couple minutes before I got here, people were talking to me, calling me about investments and trading and stocks. That's great. Look at the stocks. This is how the market performs. The red line here is a traditional stock performance. This is something called S&P, the Standard & Poor. It's a great index that people have invested in for a long time. If you look at the way it has performed, these are not examples. These are practical numbers. The red line is the stock market. From 1999, the strongest index on the market, S&P, has performed this way. Someone invested $100,000 in 1999. 20 years, over 20 years down the road, that amount has, yes, well performed to, 300,000. But you got to take out fees and taxes and, rather tax on the gain from your investment. And if you look at the index, the one we are talking about, using insurance, the concept of insurance to make money and hedge against any risks, eliminate the market risks, because the market risks are very, very, very unavoidable. You can't even predict when they're going to come in. You can do calculus and try to beat the game. Sometimes you think, for those of you that were around enough to know things how they're trending, remember 2008, 2007, 8. It was no exceptional to any single man. 2022, things didn't turn out to be great when COVID hit. But look at how the indexing, the concept of insurance with cash accumulation and market risks eliminated. This is how it has performed. You are locking in whatever you gained. You're not going down. When the market goes down, you're still growing. For the same amount that was invested in 1999, by 2022, the insurance guy had 5 more times the investment when the market had around 3 times. So that is where we say this is worth doing. And to build $1 million retirement account by 67, you got to start early. If you want to live a life you always want, or you want to have a decent and retire with dignity. If you start around age 20, maybe you'll be somewhere around 319 to hit $1 million by age 67. That means starting from today at $0. Someone who's in their 20s will be looking around $300, $319. Someone in their 30s, that's double the effort. But look at the 40-year-old guy. That's actually almost 4 times the energy you have to use to get to a retirement stage of $1 million by the age of 67 if you're starting from scratch today. So the early you start, the easier it's going to be along the way. And one approaching retirement, we have traditional vehicles of retirement. We have the 401ks. We have no money at risk. We have those various guaranteed incomes that people have mentioned around money. But we bring in fixed indexed annuities, where you roll over your money from 401k to an annuity that pays you with low to no fees, no stock market risks, and guaranteed income for life. Because in the traditional side, no guarantees. And in the contemporary angle that we're proposing here, you have those guarantees for those of you that have some fixed amounts of money placed somewhere. Very lastly, I don't want to go to scare you with these retirement facts. They are facts, but they're very scary indeed. But I think we had enough of tonight, and I want to allow some few more minutes before we cut it off here. We are inviting people to get into these living benefits, to get into the mentorship. There's no requirements of special skills and prior experience and age and amounts of money that you have to get into this. None of all those. You get the basic will of the heart, and not even $1,000 or hundreds of dollars, let alone mentioning of thousands, and you get into this crusade of living benefits. And who needs these living benefits? Quite honestly, every generation. These are numbers of statistics that we have people in Gen Z, in millennials, in baby boomers, and all those folks that are around us. In terms of income, if you can add an extra 2, 3, 5, 10,000 a month besides your job, because you can start this on the side on a part-time, and that can make a change or make a difference in your lifestyle. An average district manager, this is someone that joins us with just a simple will of heart and talking to people. They're more likely to earn around $2,000 to $3,000 a month. Regional managers are now those ones that are, making a footage on the ground and trying to reach out to 2, 3 families a month. Just a month, helping just 2 to 3 families a month. Something that you can do in your part-time and earn somewhere around $3,000 to $5,000 every month. Anyhow, these are numbers of potential income that we are able to make on this field. Again, uncapped. We are closing it here and inviting your reaction, any questions, any comments, any, for the sake of time, and we'll still make those referrals to people that want to follow through with these kind of talks and give you contacts of people that you can reach out if you want to learn and explore more of what we just discussed tonight. We have about 5 minutes to the top of the hour. We may be gracious enough to get more time to go a little over if you have more questions there. But I wanted to cut it out here tonight and check back in and see if you have any questions or comments to make. Just open up your mic or raise your hand if you can. Then we'll call you off if you have any questions or comment. Thank you. All right. Any questions? Okay, go ahead, Roy.
Yes, Herbert, thank you so much for the in-depth that you've enlightened us today. Really enlightening about the process of moving from the left to the right. And just a quick question on the income, average savings of 4,000 that you alluded to. What would be the average income for that household? And also, just a little side note, you did enlighten us about the challenge. What would be the major challenge that people have getting from the left to the right that you have seen in real life and in our societies? Because you talked about getting a second job as one of them. Is there anything else that you have seen? And would you think that we as immigrants have been susceptible to the scams that do come up for trying to get us rich? Would this be one of the things that we could see as something that we jump on trying to get ahead? Thank you.
Very good. Roy, I appreciate your question there. And quite honestly, to start with the first piece, or maybe let me start with the last piece of your question there. There have been lots of alternatives that have been presented out there. People have started with second jobs. We've seen some schemes come along and say, hey, you can do this, you can do that, you can add on your income. But most of these schemes that come along, they've not lasted out there. As a matter of fact, they've taken away from people than what they intended actually to put in, let alone a return on their investments. And that quite honestly becomes a scam. Because we've heard of these, all different get rich quick schemes where people, on board and, go full force in with high expectations and no guardrails of, sustainability. And those ones have turned out to be more detrimental to the aspirants that are trying to get into those industries. There are these scooters schemes that were most recent where people were leaving even more light post opportunities, and people on board on these, quick with high crazy potential returns, but only to end up in turmoil and downturn. So yeah, there've been lots of things going around. People, some conservatives go for second jobs, third jobs, but also some, entrepreneurial spirited mind people that try to go into ventures that are not sustainable, that are lacking in their standing. And these kind of careers with FEG that we're talking about here, Freedom Equity Group, or the financial services career, has been around for years. Years, actually. You get to work with people that have been in the industry earning this consistent money for not just 2, 3, but 10, 20, 30, 40 years in this same industry. So with the numbers here, we just talked about someone doing this career on a part-time basis and earning a monthly potential by helping just 2 families. But if you look at the kind of income that are able to put in, based on a 7,200 of target premium. So the target premium, now we're going into the technicalities of the industry. The 7,200, that would be how much a month? Because that's an annual. This is annual amount. If you divide the 7,200 by 12, that's someone paying about, 60, rather $600 every month in total for these 2 families. Now, if there are 2 families, you would estimate maybe one family to be earning somewhere around or paying somewhere around into their policy $300, and another family $300. That's $600. Annualized, 7,200. Now, out of that amount, then you earn as an agent that is helping those families as a reward to yourself and to the community, 2,800 if you're just starting. And if you've been around for just a couple months, you're earning somewhere around 4,000. But if you start now to have some experience, for sure, you're over 5,000 for these exact 2 families. So that's a very incredible, a great question to look at, because if one is going to get into this industry, you need to see the track record. You don't want to get into these schemes that are going to be, too good to be true and promise these crazy amounts of money. By the way, these numbers, look at these, the numbers we're talking about here, this is just part-time. If we're talking of a month long, just 2 families, then you probably have like 2 weeks to get 1 family, which you can literally get in just 1 day and still keep your traditional job if you want to keep on that. But if you do 3, 5, 10 families a month, then you're, 3, 5, 10 times more this amount. So yeah, that's been a very incredible perspective when people try to jump on these get rich quick schemes and end up being in even more worse shapes than they were initially before they considered this. Thanks for bringing this one up, actually. Any other comment, question? We are at the top of the hour, but yeah, we don't want to hold you back. Just make a comment or a question. You can write it down in your chat box, or you can just open up your mic and say something. iPhones, please, your turn. Or whoever, just open your mic, it's fine. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and cut it off here.
In the chat.
Oh, we have something in the chat there? Okay, good. Yeah. Sharon, Dr. Sharon, thank you. You said, thanks for your presentation. Some people are afraid of sales. Yeah, for sure. Do you need to be a natural salesperson to succeed here? Wow. Thanks, Dr. Sharon, for asking this. I know this has been there's a stigma around going into entrepreneurship. One thing that I can say really quick off here: no prior experience, no, no, literally no nothing, if I may say. You just come as you. All we need is just 3 things. Let me say this: 3 things. You have to have a will to do this. You need to be just teachable, regardless of what you know prior. So not necessarily teachable from the past, but just from that point forward, you got to be teachable. And all you need is just another thing is just to be determined to help people. If you not a, no will, no heart of people, then you may struggle a little bit here and there. But a success factor would be a heart of people, wanting to help right from yourself to other people around you or your family or your community or you know, your country or basically people centered. You got to be people centered. But we have the system, we have the communities of like-minded and fellow colleagues that are going to get on this with you. We have the free mentorship. You have, resources, incredible amount of resources that are going to carry you through here. Now, the other piece that Dr. Sharon mentioned was beyond the income, what personal growth have you experienced from building this business? Great, great, great question. And let me speak of myself here. And I'm sure I see a couple of folks, my colleagues that have been with me in this industry, that can even speak to their experiences as well. I've been doing this for the last, since 2017. I joined this company, specifically this Freedom Equity Group, in 2017. And I can't be more grateful because I've earned the time to do what I want and help people. There's no greater satisfaction I've got in this than people coming my way and say, thank you for guiding me and putting me on the right path. Thank you for rescuing me when I was drowning. And we don't want to get into those experiences where life gets even more crazier and the benefits of this profession comes into play. But I've got that freedom of time. I've been able to uh, break off and take the time I want to break and pursue my other hobbies. Because quite honestly, life is full of uh, interests and aspirations that one has until they get out of this world. So I'm well able to go and be back and interact with the person I want to at a point I want to, and determine my course, my schedule, determine my lifestyle, work-life balance. When do I work? When do I not work? How much do I earn? I need more. I gotta, press harder. I have a little bit. Now I gotta pursue this other thing. At least to me, that has come live with this profession. Uh, Actually, speaking of that, since there's no other hand raising up there, can I call on anyone here? Ima may be asleep even though they're on the line here because it's too late to where they are. But Ima, if you can hear us, go ahead and speak to this, or Roy. They've been here quite longer uh, compared to any other person around in this industry, to be specific. Roy, would you mention of any other thing that you have earned in these benefits that you've experienced here?
Well, thank you, Herbert, for putting me on the spot. But I'll take it. I've been in on the right side of the quadrant for the last 15 years. Um, it wasn't easy, but before then, I did trade quite a bit of time for money as a self-employed, um, where if you are a doctor, dentist, or any other high-income earner, what you ask yourself is, what happens to your income if you stop working tomorrow? So you have to be there in the morning, 8 a.m. up until late, trying to do what you have to do just to make a living. Yes, you do get paid high, but what is the trade-off? You're trading your time for money. So that is the question that changed my life. And for years, I thought I was doing it right, working hard, earning well, until the opportunity of being an entrepreneur and also using a system that FEG has offered.
Yeah,
And it is a great place to be. Thank
awesome.
you.
For sure. Thank you. Any other, Ima, you want to mention anything here? Or any more questions that are coming in? Or Hundavera joining at this time. Welcome, Brother Hundavera there. Uh, Chanceline said, when you mentioned that the policy provides benefits beyond death, could you explain what additional advantages it offers, such as cash flow during the policy term? Additionally, how soon do these cash flow benefits typically begin? Well, these are very great questions there, Chanceline. Actually, now we are at that point. We'll be diving deeper into um, the dynamics of the different products that we have in this industry. But some of the products or one of the products would have cash benefits, cash growth, accumulation, if we may say, which is the most typical that we mentioned there when we use insurance to grow money. Now, with those products itself, there those some of those that are able to cash out right from the first year, and there are others that are more likely to start cashing out from third, fourth, fifth year. And in all honesty, it's up to the agent to determine and show these dynamics to the clients. And that's what we train you here with those kind of products. They all have pros and cons. They all have goods and the catch side. Uh, it's not a one size fits all thing. We just have those different products there, and people get to be told. The client, the customer, is introduced to these products and be shown the different angles and make their own choices. All we have to do is just to show them the in and outs as experts on these products and say, if you go this route, this is what you get. If you go this route, this is what you get. Some people want to, start cashing out uh, right away. But again, you can't cash out more than what you put in the first, second 2 years. Because remember, this is a long-term investment. Yes, there's this aspect of compounded interest, but remember, interest grows over time. So yeah, these are very good questions. But we do have products that have incredible cash growth potential. Market risks eliminated, upside always as we saw on the graph, but we also have some other products that don't grow cash if one wants to go for a protection, simple protection. Someone comes and say, hey, I just don't want to mind much about growing cash over time. All I need is just a simple protection for 1 year or 2 years or 10 years or 30 years. Then we guide you on that line as well, which may be even cheaper. But yeah, I appreciate you bringing this question here. There's a lot of dynamics in there, but we get to dive deep. And every Thursday is actually. Next Thursday, we'll be talking about the product. We go deep into how these products are structured. How do we position them to earn more, go more aggressive on cash, or go more aggressive on protection? Because someone may want even a bigger protection. Someone owning maybe, having a household of 5, 10 people, as opposed to someone who has just 1, 2 kids. The protection needed on a 10, 12 individual household may be different from a protection needed on a 2, 3 individual household. So those dynamics are uh, exposed and explored by the agents that they're sitting with the clients here. Yes, we get to dive into those ones sometimes depending on when we have those chances of time. But on Thursdays, yes, we have these kind of sessions to take one and explore deeper, and take another product and explore deeper on another Thursdays. All I can invite you, or I can ask you is to make it a point to be here most of the time on Thursdays. We do get to explore those angles and go deeper. Well, thank you. Any other question? Any other pressing comment before we cut it off here again? Immaculate, welcome. Thank you.
Yes, Herbert, thank you so very much for this great presentation. So I just wanted to add on the power of being an entrepreneur and the power of working for yourself. I can attest to that. I am on another continent right now. I'm able to work wherever I am. So for those people who don't know, I live in the US. I'm in Africa right now, but what is it? My office is my laptop. I don't have to be anywhere. I can work wherever I am at any time. So that freedom of time, freedom of, working wherever you are, making as much money as you want, as long as you're willing, again, as Herbert said, to put in the time, the willingness to work, and nobody's asking you to have to be in a particular place at a particular time. But being free, the freedom, that is the freedom that we're talking about, the freedom of time, freedom of finances, freedom of everything. So to those people who really want that freedom, this is the right place to be. I'm supposed to be sleeping, but guess what? You can sleep at any time you want. It's 4 a.m. right here. But guess what? I can sleep the whole day and work whenever I want to work. So that's what I can add.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Ima. Yeah, it can't be said better. Yeah. Being, in Africa, myself for this 2025, I've been to Africa about what? How many times? Four, five times. January, March, but I couldn't make it when I was still on the left side of the quadrant. So that actually comes handy. Thank you so much, Immaculate, for uh, bringing it live and actually sharing from the very first-hand experience at the time, in real time, if I may say. All right. Any other comment, question, please? Well, for those of you that are in on the West Coast, we can meet. I'm on the West Coast right now. I'm in the Desert Valley in Phoenix. We can meet in person. We have a office here in downtown Phoenix area. We have teams in Dallas. Roy is in Dallas. We have all 50 states pretty much, all big cities. We can always hook you if you want to meet in person. The phone numbers, the contacts of different people that you can sit together with. You can always, reach out to any of the person that invited you here, and you'll be able to get onboarded if you want, or if you want to explore it further. Also, please feel free to be always here on Thursdays. I appreciate again your time to be with us again. Thank you so much and be blessed. Have a good one.